So the state of Oregon was just prevented from enforcing Measure 114, which requires a permit to purchase firearms and also creates a ban on magazines. This is a complicated issue, so let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you think a permit to purchase and a magazine ban is clearly unconstitutional, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Also, I want to give a shout out to one of the main supporters of this channel, which is USCCA. Through your membership, you get training, education, and self-defense and liability protection. So if you carry a firearm, I highly recommend you take a look into USCCA, and I'll put a link to them down in the details section. How's it going, everyone? My name is Anthony Miranda. I am a licensed and practicing attorney in the state of California with an emphasis on Second Amendment rights. I've been part of Second Amendment litigation both at a state level and a national level while serving as a staff attorney with the Firearms Policy Coalition legal team. My goal with these videos is not to provide you any legal advice, but instead to give you greater insight into the inner workings of Second Amendment litigation and help you understand what's currently going on in the battle for our right to keep and bear arms. As I mentioned in the intro, in this video, we will be discussing an important update in the Oregon Measure 114 cases, which seek to prevent the Oregon State permit to purchase and magazine ban from going into effect on December 8th. In response to Measure 114, the state is being sued in multiple cases, two of which we're going to be talking about in this video because there's been updates. The two cases we're going to be talking about in this video are called the OFF v. Brown case and then the Arnold v. Brown case. The OFF case is a federal court case, and then the Arnold v. Brown case is a state of Oregon case. In the OFF v. Brown case, a district court judge just denied the TRO which was being sought, which would prevent Measure 114 from going into effect on December 8th. However, that same judge in the OFF case stayed the permit to purchase process from going into effect at least for 30 days, since the state of Oregon recently conceded that they are not going to be able to properly put their plan into place, and they were requesting at least for a stay on that permit to purchase process at least till February. But the judge here said, no, we will stay it at least for 30 days. However, in the Arnold v. Brown case, a different judge at a state level granted a TRO enjoining both the permit to purchase and the magazine ban from going into effect. And I've been getting a ton of questions about how these two interplay and where does this issue currently stand. Now, for those not familiar with the Oregon Measure 114 cases and this issue, let me explain generally what this does. If you want a more comprehensive, nuanced breakdown, I have a ton of other videos where I get into all the nuances. Please don't comment on this video, well, you didn't talk about X, Y, and Z. Like I said, this is a broad stroke overview. If you want a nuanced breakdown of all the various kind of aspects of what Measure 114 does, go watch one of those other videos. That's not what this video is for. So Measure 114 first requires that anyone purchasing a firearm must obtain a permit to purchase. To obtain the permit to purchase, the resident will need to complete a safety training course, go through a background check, get fingerprinted, show a valid ID, and only after all that will you then be granted a permit. Under Measure 114, it will generally be unlawful for you to buy, sell, transfer, or to kind of distribute any firearms unless the person purchasing the firearm has a permit to purchase. So a permit to purchase will be required for all transactions, including private party transfers. However, Measure 114, like I mentioned, did not just create a permit to purchase. It also creates a significant restriction on your ability to acquire magazines that hold more than 10 rounds. It has a ban on so-called large capacity magazines. This measure prohibits the manufacture, importation, possession, use, purchase, sale, or otherwise transfer of magazines capable of holding more than 10 rounds. This measure makes a violation of the law a Class A misdemeanor, which is punishable by at least 364 days in jail and or a fine of $6,250. Another thing I want to point out is that yes, this measure does have a grandfather magazine mechanism in it, but it also has restrictions on how you can actually possess, use, and transport those grandfathered magazines. Now, one of the major issues with Measure 114 and this whole permitting scheme is that once it goes into effect on December 8th, it will be next to impossible to even get a permit as required under Measure 114 for you to be able to purchase a firearm. As written in the measure, the process to acquire a permit to purchase can take up to 30 days to complete. But currently, just days out from this going into effect, the state of Oregon has no process in place for even an application to get a permit to purchase. In fact, on Sunday night, the Attorney General in the state of Oregon sent out a letter to one of the judges in the OFF case and even conceded that the state of Oregon will not be able to properly implement their whole permitting scheme and that the judge should stay the effect of Measure 114, the permitting to purchase process at least, until next February. Now, the last video where we discussed this case, I explained that in the OFF case, which is the federal court case, there was the judge there, Judge Karen Immigrant, who appeared to be signaling that she would not enjoin the whole magazine ban aspect of Measure 114, but maybe that the permit issue was up in the air. Well, we received her order today on that TRO on the request to halt the enforcement of Measure 114, and ultimately she denied the TRO on both of these issues. However, she did say that since the state of Oregon conceded that they could not implement the permit to purchase by the December 8th deadline, and that they stated that they wanted at least till February, she would therefore grant a 30-day stay on the permit to purchase. So she stayed the permit to purchase until January 8th. And really that's only because the state of Oregon conceded that they cannot implement this permit to purchase by December 8th. However, that's not the end of this issue. On today as well, we got a different order from a different judge in a different case. Today, we also got an order in the Arnold v. Brown case, which is a case that's not in federal court, but instead is in the state of Oregon court. In this case, the Harney County Circuit Judge Robert Rocchio, I believe his name is, granted a TRO halting the permit to purchase and the magazine ban from going into effect on December 8th. Now, what that means, we'll unpack that a little bit, but I want to give you guys some of the language that he stated in reaching his determination. In the order, he found that absent entry of this temporary restraining order, plaintiffs will be deprived of their right to keep and bear arms pursuant to the Oregon Constitution by being made unable to lawfully purchase a firearm or bear a magazine capable of holding more than 10 rounds of ammunition in the state of Oregon. Ruling from the bench, Judge Rocchio stated that with the implementation, there are serious harms to the public's interests as well, which could include individuals being arrested and prosecuted for Class A misdemeanors under what could be found to be an unconstitutional statutory scheme. So what does this all mean? Well, you have a federal court judge who denied the TROs, but has also stayed the permit process from going into effect until January 8th. Then you have a state court judge granting the TRO, therefore halting both the permit process and also the magazine ban from going into effect, at least until a preliminary injunction hearing can take place, which he currently set for December 13th. Now, in response to all this, there are reports already that the Attorney General's office in Oregon asked the judge there, Judge Rocchio, to stay the judgment of his granting of the TRO, which he ultimately denied. Now the reports are that the state of Oregon Attorney General's office is going to ask the Oregon State Supreme Court to intervene in this case and likely stay that county judge's TRO. So this is a very dynamic issue and situation. There are a ton of cases at play right now, and there are various decisions that are in play right now. So please stay tuned for any further updates. But if you need to understand what's going on right now, as of December 6th, when I'm filming this video, there are two decisions that are in play. And ultimately what that leads to is the permit process, the permit to purchase, being stayed at least until January 8th. And the magazine ban is likely going to be halted at least until December 13th. But the magazine ban is a little bit more in the air since the state of Oregon Attorney General is saying that they're going to seek the state Supreme Court review of that aspect. That kind of magazine ban restriction, that process from going into effect could be a little bit more up in the air. It just depends on what the Supreme Court in the state of Oregon decides to do. So if we get any more updates on that specific aspect, I will also let you know. So that is where this issue currently stands. Thank you to all the organizations that are currently fighting this. Gun Owners of America is responsible for the Arnold case, which was the biggest win out of the two, where the TRO was granted against the permit to purchase and also the magazine ban. So make sure you consider donating to all these organizations that are actually fighting the fight in Oregon. So if we get any more updates, I will let you all know. Also, if you like this video and like support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm or fuel Algor's rhythm. It adds fuel to his jet and signals to YouTube that you see value in these videos and this type of two-way news. As always, I want to thank everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, who hits the notification bell, who shares these videos. You guys are directly impacting these videos, impacting this channel, helping me to reach and educate more people than I could ever do on my own. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget, this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.